Hi, thanks for joining me today. I wanted to introduce you to a person who I discovered through Facebook. Her name is Jodie K. You may know her as the operator and founder of Refuge River Ranch. I saw her story on Facebook, and I've been trying to stay off of social media for the most part. I do visit it for work or to find some good stories and the things that are happening in the world that are positive. You won't see a heated political conversation on this show, that's for sure. And I also want to try and share the good that's happening. And a lot of good has come from the post that I saw Jodie K share, her emotional post about the shutting down of her ranch, and the outpouring of support from this community. We'll share it with you on the show. Help me welcome Jodie K. So thank you, Jodie K, for being on the show today. Appreciate you being here and taking the time.
Thank you for having me.
I saw your story, like so many stories I see these days through Facebook. And the video that I saw was a pretty emotional video of you having fear of your ranch not making it. So let's back way up and just talk about how you got started. I know you moved to Leavenworth 7.5 years ago. And tell me about how that has evolved through your love of animals to having the ranch.
Well, actually, it's funny. I grew up across the river. I was born in Leavenworth, raised in Leavenworth. This is home for me. I just came back home about 7.5 years ago. I grew up on a farm similar to this, 5 acres. My mom saved everything under the sun. She'd take a half run over frog and overdose it with penicillin. And, she'd take her sewing kit and try to sew up a little chick's head that had feathers sticking up and it permanently had a mohawk. Now we have the internet. Now we have resources where we can call WSU. We can get the correct dosage of penicillin and not just guess. It's wonderful. And I think she instilled in my heart this need to rescue animals and take care of them. And I think it's in all my family. We all just, if you see an animal on the side of the road, I don't care if you're late for a meeting, you stop and you rescue the animal. That's just what you do.
So tell me, what is the most unique circumstance or unique animal that you've saved? Can you think of one?
Yeah. Well, the alpacas are very unique to me because I didn't grow up with alpacas, and they have some very, very special needs. They're high maintenance. They have some really challenging medical needs, and the vet population has not caught up with the popularity of the alpacas. So it's created a high rescue environment for these animals because they've grown in popularity. But it's my understanding that there's only one vet school in the entire country that has a camelid program in it, and it happens to be Oregon State University. So even if WSU has a student that wants to learn about camelids, they will send them down to the Oregon State University to take their camelid program, glean that knowledge, and then bring it back. So if I want my camelids, my alpacas taken care of, I have to drive 4.5 hours to WSU. So they are a little more unique than just your typical barn animal.
And you've saved your share of those then?
Well, we have 3 here now, and we had one that didn't make it. They did a necropsy on him, and he had wire and twine and rope caught in his intestines, and it's a very sad story. They had about 6 different homes in 2 years, high stress environments, had to just eat what they could as quickly as they could, which is why he was inhaling rope and twine. So we were hoping to get 2 more that are not high trauma rescue situations, but more of a situational rescue. And so these 2 are going to come a little healthier, a little emotionally more well-adjusted, and hopefully calm down the small herd that I have now.
So how did your house go from, or your home turn into a ranch? Well, I guess you just keep saving animals. And then next thing you know, you got to figure out how to pay for those animals. That's the challenge. So how did it go from being the person who grew up wanting to save animals to having the refuge ranch?
Well, the sad story is I'm a single mom with 2 little kids. My divorce was about 5 years ago. So I was married to my husband at the time, and we got this place and we started getting animals, and I tend to just go towards rescue animals. And then after the divorce, I didn't know what I was going to do with my life. I'd been a stay-home mom for 11 years, and I needed to somehow save the farm, save the animals, and save my ranch. So I turned the downstairs of my house into an overnight rental, and that wasn't going to cut it. Alimony ended, and these animals needed to eat. And the more people that found out about me, the more people that were sending me animals. So I said, okay, team, if we're going to do this as a family, and they are family, they're my fur babies, then we're gonna do this. And I spent a lot of time with the renters, taking them down to the barn because they can't go down by themselves for liability reasons. So I would take them down and show them the animals and tell them their story, which was fine. It was my passion. I loved doing it, but I realized it was taking up a lot of time when I should be looking for a job. And then one day it dawned on me, I wonder if these people would pay to hear the stories and come see the animals and love on them. And then I could just keep doing what I love. So that's kind of how it started.
What is it they say about find a way to get paid to do what you love? I absolutely believe in creating buckets of passion and figure out how to earn a living doing it. That's what I've been doing for a long time, and it sounds like that's what. Was it just like this opening that you did, or did you gradually start having people come in? How did you go about that?
Well, I think the draw to the rental was that I was the ranch and I had all these animals. And so, of course, they wanted to go down to the barn and see them, but I can't just let people go down and have easy access to the animals without supervision. So I would follow them down and I would talk to them and start telling their stories. And they had so many questions. In my mind, no one was ever going to pay to come see barn animals or hear their stories. I mean, and I didn't want to be a petting zoo. I really am intimate am passionate about my animals, and I like to share that intimacy and that time with the people that come to see them. And I realized how out of touch a lot of people are with farm life. I mean, I grew up here, so I totally get it. And so feeding a chicken to me isn't really fun, it's a chore. But when you start letting little kids throw food for chickens and you start talking about the chickens and the bloom on the egg and how it preserves the egg from bacteria, things like that, people are amazed. They don't know those things. And one of the most common questions I get from city people when they come over that just cracks me up when they see I have an Easter egg basket. My eggs are pink and blue and green and brown and all kinds of colors. And it's beautiful, but they always ask me if they taste different, if they have a different flavor. And I always thought that was funny, but it kind of started to dawn on me that our world is so far removed from the country and from this lifestyle that this is unique and special to people, that I take it for granted because I was raised with it and I've had it. And other people would love to learn about it. And it's my passion to share and increase their knowledge on barn animals. Also, because I have a heart for rescues, I feel like there's a lot of people that love animals but have spent their whole life in the corporate world, and then they want to retire and then they want to do the same thing. They want to get rescue animals. But that actually, if they don't have the knowledge base and how to do that well, what that ends up doing is creating more rescues. And so I had a lady here, she was older and she and her husband had never had a pet, but they always wanted one. And she walks in and she sees the twinkle lights on the barn and the chandelier and, you know, the sweet cuddly animals. And she's like, you know, when we retire, this is what we're going to do. And I didn't mean to burst her bubble, but in some ways I'm really glad I did. I said, you know, let me explain what a typical day looks like for me this week. I was up every 4 hours for the last 5 days, holding an alpaca by ropes, lifting it so it could stretch his legs and potty, syringing water down its throat. I have 2 sick kids in the house. I have to plow the driveway of snow at 1 a.m, you know, and so I'm going on, and I watch this glowing, happy face just slowly get sad and kind of drop. And she's like, that sounds like being a single mom every day of your life. And I said, yes, exactly.
However many animals you have. Yeah, you should say, if anyone is thinking they want to do this, come spend a day with you. You get the volunteer help, and then
yes,
you'd save them from making the choice that would be a disaster later.
and I think people,
go ahead.
oh, their heart, I think people have their hearts in the right place. They love animals and they want to do something special. But if you don't have a knowledge base in how to care for them, it creates more of a rescue environment. So take one animal at a time, do your homework, learn that animal, start with a cat, right? Food, water, litter, go on vacation for a week. It's that simple. But some of the more high maintenance animals like alpacas and horses, you know, start small and work your way up. Yeah.
When people come, what can they expect when they come visit your ranch? What does a typical guest expect when they come?
For the tours,
Mm-hmm.
the ranch tours, I think they're surprised. I think people think it's going to be like a petting zoo, but it is absolutely not like a petting zoo at all. It's very, very educational. And then the intimacy with the animals, the holding, the touching, the learning about, the cuddling, not just throwing food over a fence. It's a lot different. I think people walk away thinking that they came here for their 2-year-old. And in reality, it's more geared for like 4 and up. Little kids just want to throw rocks at the chickens. They'd be better off at a petting zoo maybe. But here, there is a lot of hands-on and a lot of education. And I think adults in some ways love it a lot more than children. Children love the aspect that they get to touch and hold the animals, right? But adults love the fact that they walk away with a whole new knowledge base.
Well, I want to take a break here and then come back with you and talk a little bit about what's happening currently and what this community has done to rally around you. So let's take a quick break. We'll come back. We'll talk more with Jodie K of Refuge River Ranch. We're back. We're talking with Jodie K of Refuge River Ranch. I found your story on Facebook when I saw the video you posted. So I'm just going to play a little bit of that video so the audience can have reference to what we're talking about. So let's take a look at that.
So I'm so upset, super stressed. This is probably going to be the last tour right now. I got to pull it together, but we're barely making it. We're making about 25% of what we need to make to survive. And so it's not going to happen. We're not going to survive. We're not going to make it on. We're barely making it. I have 94 animals here that I don't know what to do with. The house, the property, the farm. I'm not a 501c. I'm not big enough to be a nonprofit. Plus, it's my property. And so they could take it away from me. You need a board of trustees. It gets really dangerous when you get in that kind of territory. I'm not sure what to do, but I'm gonna just ask for a lot of prayer and a lot of support, and not tax deductible, so I'm not a great place to send donations. I don't know, but if there's anything you guys can do to help, I don't even know what that would be at this point in time. I'm just really upset, and I need to come up with new ideas and new strategies. And so I thought I'd ask you to come up with some very creative ideas to help keep the farm going at Refuge River Ranch. And now I gotta put on my happy face and go do my last tour.
When I saw that video, I was so overwhelmed in emotion for you. I knew nothing about, you know, the hard work you've put in and the things that you've been through to create this space. I didn't know about the divorce. I didn't know about sacrifices you've made, but every bit of you came through in that video. So tell me what happened when that hit Facebook and the community started seeing it and really started to rally around you, trying to help you get through this really hard time.
Well, first of all, let me say I had just put on my mic. I was headed out to do the last tour of the day, and somebody messaged me. I just went in shock because I was already counting down the months. It was like a slow leak. We had a huge deficit from the first time we were shut down. So the rental was shut down and the tours were shut down, and we had no income coming in. So that was hard. And then when we reopened, we were limping at about 25% of what we needed to make with the tours. So I literally was just watching this leak. It got a little slower, but it was still leaking. And when I went out to do that last tour, somebody texted me and said, "Did you see that you've been shut down as of Monday?" I went in shock. I want to cry just thinking about it. It was like, oh, we're done. We are absolutely are we going to sell in the fall? Are we going to sell in the winter? What do I do with my animals? What are the kids and I going to do? It was just the realization that it was over, and I didn't think anyone would donate because we were not a 501c3. And one of my volunteers was like, no, this is like second home for me. We're not quitting. We're not giving up. I took that video on the way to the barn to do my last tour, cried through the last tour. They were really forgiving. And meanwhile, my volunteer saw the video and she stuck up a GoFundMe. And I thought, well, that's sweet, but nobody's going to give. It is close to $45,000 right now, which almost covers the first deficit of being shut down. Just the love and support from all over the world. We've gotten messages from New Zealand, and people sent food from Tennessee. And it's just amazing how the community rallied around. And I'm touched, so touched by that. We're at a place where that gave us some breathe room. We're still operating in a bit of a deficit, but now we can breathe. And so what we need to do is reopen. I hope we can get out of phase 1 and reopen. They've let phase 2 and 3. So if they let 1, we will open our doors again. And I hope that people come, and I want to personally thank them for the love and the support. And there's so many people that love animals, and that warms my heart because it's obviously my passion. And I also know that people just felt a great, I had a full-grown man call me yesterday. He watched part of the video at his neighbor's house and he had to run home. He couldn't finish watching it because he just started crying, and he called me on the phone and he was crying. And then when he was crying, I was crying. And so much, just people have empathy and compassion. And it's so amazing for me to see, because right now there's not a lot of love in this world. There is fighting and anger and killing and burning in the streets. And this is just such a reminder, like, our world is still amazing, full of wonderful, loving, amazing people. And this story is such an example of that to me.
That's what I try to share on the show on a regular basis, because I think there is a lot of love in the world. I think it's all over the world. But when we have to, fight against the media and the social media and the negative things that people focus on, we start to lose sight of stories like yours. So when I saw your story, we had to go through a couple of scheduling things to get you here on both of our sides. So I'm glad it finally worked out. I'm glad you've had an opportunity to thank the community, and just can't wait to see what greatness comes from this challenge, because I think you'll be open bigger and better than you were before. That's at least my prayer for you. So thank you for sharing your story.
Thank you.
All the work you do in our community.
And it just reminds me of that verse, what Satan meant for bad, God uses for good. And here I thought this was our total destruction. And in some ways, people know we're here that never knew we were here. And I've also gotten to experience that love and support and a time that's pretty dark.
Yeah.
And so that is a beautiful thing.
Yes, you've brought light to a time that's dark. We'll end it right there. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
You all may remember Annalise. I introduced her to you about 2 months ago after I saw her on a Facebook video of her singing with her mom and her mom's life partner. And she did such a beautiful job just lighting up the room. And the video went viral. That's how I noticed it. And then I wanted to share it on Facebook over and over, and I wanted to share it with all of you. So we did a little mini concert toward the end of one segment and received a lot of positive feedback from viewers. So we're going to wrap this segment up with a song from Annalise and her mom, and just let you feel the joy that she's trying to spread. I know a lot of us are feeling a lot of stress, and life is pretty complex right now. But if you listen to Annalise sing, and if you get to know her story about inclusion and wanting to feel like she can contribute to the world, and she has special needs, and she uses her voice to reach people and give them hope in all times. She's overcome her own challenges over the years. We're all facing our own challenges. We always do. Some of us are uncomfortable right now for the first time in our lives. And then others of us have been through other things that have taught us to be strong and muddle through the best we can. So Annalise's voice hopefully is a source of peace and joy for you in these times of trouble. So take a listen, Sit back and enjoy. And thanks again for tuning in to the show. Here is Annalise. 1, 2, 3, 4.
There's a reason for the sunshine sky. There's a reason why I'm feeling so high. Must be the wind season when the love light shines all around us. So let that feeling grab you deep inside and send you reeling. Where love can't hide and then go stealing through the moonlit light, spread your love love. Just let your love flow like a mountain stream and let your love grow with the smallest of dreams and let your love show. And you know what I mean, it's the season. Oh, oh. Let your love fly like a bird on a wing and let your love bind you to all living things and let your love shine. And you know what I mean, that's the reason. There's a reason for the warm sweet nights, and there's a reason for the candle lights. Must be the season when those love lights shine all around us. So let the wonder take you into space, and there you wonder. It's love and embrace, feel the thunder as it warms your face. You can't hold back. Let your love flow like a mountain stream and let your love grow with the smallest of dreams and let your love show. And you know what I mean, it's the season. Let your love fly like a bird on a wing and let your love bind you to all living things and let your love shine. And you know what I mean, that's the reason. Let your love flow like a mountain stream and let your love grow with the smallest of dreams and let your love show. And you know what I mean, it's the season. Let your love fly like a bird on a wing and let your love bind you to all living things and let your love shine. And you know what I mean, that's the reason. Let your love flow like a mountain stream and let your love grow with the smallest of dreams and let your love show. And you know what I mean, that's the reason. Let your love fly like a bird on a wing and let your love bind you to all living things and let your love shine. And you know what I mean, that's the reason.